An iconic role in television is no small feature. When an actor is able to make an impression with a character that stands the test of time, decades after the show went off the air, it's clear you become a part of history. For 5 seasons, Dorian Wilson portrayed Professor Stanley Oglevee on the hit UPN sitcom The Parkers, a quote-unquote love interest to Nikki Parker, played by Monique throughout the series. The professor would duck and dodge Nikki in the same vein as Laura Winslow dodging Steve Urkel in Family Matters. Professor Oglevee was smart and often prided himself on his intelligence. Episodes often depicted the professor as a victim of his own schemes while dealing with life at Santa Monica College. Wilson's performance as the professor could be silly and goofy, but always filled with heart and purpose. In 2004, Wilson won an NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a comedy series for his work on sitcom, proving that his impact stretches far beyond a television screen, which is why Dorian Wilson will always remain unforgotten. Having a father in the Air Force meant a lot of traveling in his younger years. Born in Lompoc, California, and spending most of his time in the state, Dorian Wilson's interest in acting developed as he began emulating characters he saw on TV. From a young age, Wilson gravitated towards entertainment. Growing up, he considered himself the class clown in school. In addition to that, he would also perform magic acts and skits for his family, gaining encouragement from them to pursue his passion as a career. During his junior year in high school, he auditioned for a performance art school, which he would attend after graduating high school. Wilson lived in the Bay Area for years with his wife and daughter and would fly back and forth from there to Los Angeles for auditions. Eventually, his wife suggested that they move to LA, where Wilson took up work as a waiter and a bartender, which led to his first commercial for Long John Silver. It took Wilson a few more years before landing his first role in an HBO sitcom in 1990. I graduated from doing this performing arts school, came to LA, and right away I'm cast as the funny sidekick in this show, Dream On, which I did for 6 years. And after that, I was totally pigeonholed. It was like, this is the funny guy, but I do have a range. Dream On lasted for 6 seasons and 120 episodes. Wilson was part of the main cast from the show's second season on. He would play the best friend's protagonist. When the sitcom ended in 1996, Wilson was already juggling a role on ABC's Sister Sister as Terrence, the love interest to Jackie Harry's character, Lisa. And in addition to that, he was a recurring character on Living Single, playing Reverend Leslie Taylor for 4 episodes between 1996 and 1997. After the ending of Dream On, Sister Sister, and Living Single, Wilson continued to work mainly in television with small parts in Martin, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, The Parenthood, and The Steve Harvey Show. Interestingly enough, Wilson's first appearance on Moisha was not as Professor Oglevee. In 1997, during the show's second season, he portrayed Dave Norris in the episode Prom Fright, a frat brother of Frank. Wilson wouldn't appear again until a season 4, 1999 episode, It Takes Two, this time playing a completely different character, one we all know and love, Professor Stanley Oglevee. The episode of Moisha served as a backdoor pilot for the Parkers. Now, what's even more interesting is that during a 2020 interview with Anointed Radio Network, Wilson revealed that Professor Oglevee wasn't originally intended to be a recurring character. However, once producers saw the chemistry Wilson had with Monique, his character became an integral part of the show. I was so blessed and fortunate that I landed a role on that show, that it was recurring, and they had no idea what the response was going to be. So they wrote, basically for myself and Monique, and enhanced that role. In a 2018 interview with Sway on Sway's Universe, Wilson explained that he did not know who Monique was before he took the role of Professor Oglevee. At that time, there was so far and few roles for African Americans, especially males. I was sitting in a room when it got down to the nitty-gritty, the final. I'm looking at everybody in the room who had a television show at one point or another, vying for 8 lines or whatever. On this new show, Tommy Ford, Carl Payne, Clifton Powell was in there. During the interview, Sway would ask Wilson if a reboot of The Parkers could happen, especially considered during the time Roseanne had just brought back her show after had been off the air for nearly 21 years. In response, Wilson said he was down to make it happen. During his talk with Sway, Wilson was candid about being a typecast as an actor due to his long-running and popular role as Professor Oglevee. When you have a strong character like that, you can't help. There's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't get, "Hey, Professor Oglevee," 50 times a day. But I just embrace it. The flip side of that is, if no one recognizes me at all, then I'm like, "Hey, remember me?" After the Parkers ended in 2004, Wilson continued to work. Now that he didn't have the commitment of a weekly series, he was able to participate in more film roles, alongside the parts he took in television. These roles included episodes of That's So Raven and House of Pain, and films like Step in the Movie and You Got Served, among others. As far as his personal life, Wilson would marry his childhood friend Joanne Wilson, whom he met back in the 6th grade. They would get married in 1986 and have 2 children together, daughter Sarita and his son Devin. During an interview with the LA Times to profile his career, Wilson would discuss his film Dream On and gave viewers insight on his life and relationship. Let's put it this way, Eddie loves women, and I think it's great since I'm so different from him. Being very married with 2 kids, I get to live out this fantasy life on screen, get away with it, and get paid. In 2018, it would be reportedly revealed that Wilson and his wife Joanne would end up getting a divorce. It is unclear as to why, but the once couple has continued to remain friends. During a Throwback Thursday post, Wilson would shout out his ex-wife for giving him his 2 children. Throwback Thursday, Joanne Wilson, thank you for giving me the 2 most important and amazing things in my life, Sarita Faye and Devin Michael Wilson. His daughter Sarita appears to also want to be in front of the camera as she has worked alongside her dad and also serves as an owner of the beauty brand Lavish and Luxury. In 2015, Wilson would team up with Bentley Kyle Evans, known for Martin in the Jamie Foxx show, for In the Cut. This would mark the first time since the Parkers where Wilson was part of the main cast. However, just like the Parkers, Wilson originally wasn't intended to be the lead. When it came time for the series In the Cut, Wilson revealed that he was initially set to play the character Clevon Smitty Smith, who is the sidekick to the lead actor. When the lead actor was unable to take the role due to scheduling conflicts, Wilson was asked if he would take on the role. Of course, Wilson took the chance, and the rest is history. It's fascinating that 2 of Wilson's longest running roles originally looked a lot differently from what was written on the page. With Professor Oglevee, he wasn't initially part of the main cast, and with In the Cut, Jay Weaver was intended for someone else. In regards to the rest of the cast, Ken Lawson, whom Wilson acted alongside on The Parkers, Jackie Harry, and Cleta Smith rounded out the series. Notable actors like Mark Curry and Kim Coles would join the cast in later seasons. In the Cut would last for a total of 7 seasons and 85 episodes on Bounce TV and ended in 2020. When it came to In the Cut, Wilson explained its rigorous shooting schedule. When preparing for an upcoming season, the cast and crew would prepare to shoot 13 episodes in 11 days. Luckily, this tight schedule still allows Wilson to spend time with his family when shows aren't in production. The series lasted a total of 7 seasons and over 80 episodes before ending in 2020. Since In the Cut went off the air, Wilson has kept a busy schedule, and aside from performing, Wilson has expressed a desire to direct and continue honing his writing skills. Wilson's most recent roles include House of Vicious starring Tammy Roman and A Wesley Christmas starring Jasmine Guy. When The Parkers began streaming on Netflix in 2020, the show was introduced to an entirely new generation. Now older fans of the series can enjoy with those discovering for the very first time. Dorian Wilson has been a memorable force within comedy for the last 4 decades and has worked with other legendary performers that we've all grown up with. The Parkers remains one of Black culture's best sitcoms. The strength of the series was clearly in its cast and the chemistry that they shared. Monique and Countess Vaughn have supplied hundreds of laughs along with Yvette Wilson, Ken Lawson, and Jenna Von Oy, adding connection within the cast. However, it was Wilson as Professor Oglevee who was a standout character, which is why Dorian Wilson will always be unforgotten.